for what is probably the final time for a little bit, we'll talk about Prey yet again. This will be the full review, kind of summationing, sure, all of my thoughts from my copious previews of the game. This is my game of the year so far. I really enjoy what it's doing, taking BioShock even further. People have compared it to System Shock 2, and I really feel like I missed out, because System Shock 2 might have been my fucking game of a lifetime. But it's too late to know now, because now I've played Prey. And I can't go backwards in time yet. So what Prey does so well are the choices. And a lot of games, specifically, I'm going to compare this a lot to BioShock. A lot of things like BioShock had that, oh, you can do this, you can, oh, if there's water on the ground, you could zap it with your hand. And it felt so contrived and kind of unnecessary. And it was very limited even in that respect. And what Prey does is it has these options, these choices you can make in basically every aspect of the gameplay. Like, it's not just picking a skill on the skill tree that's your choice. Like, every choice matters. What weapon you're going to use in a situation, it matters, right? And it's kind of crazy. Like, you could go through this whole game using the shotgun and just fabricating ammo, just blowing everything up, right? Or you can stealthily, like, get the perk that lets you walk and run silently, and now you're running around with a wrench in hand, just getting surprise sneak attacks on everything. And then if that doesn't work, switching to the pistol and shooting them. It comes down to every single thing here. It's like this control panel was broken, right? And it was shooting electricity everywhere. Now, I can shoot it with the glue gun, which nullifies the electricity for a limited time, and I can repair it if I have the repair ability. Or I can just shoot it with a glue gun and walk past it. Or there's, like, I use this example, and I'm writing a review for the Game Fanatics right now, and I use this example in the review where there's a locked door, right? How do I get into the locked door? Well, maybe I explore further in this area and I find the key. And I use the key to get to the door, right? Or I get to the door, I don't have the key, I hack the door. Because I invested skill points in there, I hack the door, winner, winner, chicken dinner, right? Or there's a window right at the, right next to the door, I break the window, I can't fit through it, but I have a dart gun and I can shoot the computer with the dart gun to allow access into the room, to open and unlock the door. Or, through that same window, I can transform into a nearby coffee cup and will squiggly wiggle around as the coffee cup in through the hole in the window and then pop back out into the room. Or, I can go around back and notice that there's a blocked entryway, but I need to be able to carry heavy objects, right? So if I use those skills, I can pick up all the heavy blocks and move them out of the way, and then I can get into the room. Or I can use a recycling grenade and throw it at the blocks that need to be destroyed or lifted, and then the recycling grenade recycles all that stuff, and I get free materials, and then I can go through the door. Or I notice there's a little terrace on the outside of this room, on the upstairs of it, and I use the glue gun to make a platform up the wall, and I jump up the wall and get onto the second floor of it. Now I'm in the room. Or I notice some scaffolding that leads around the corner, and so I glue gun up to the scaffolding. Is that what it's called? I don't know, whatever. And I crawl around on these pipes or whatever, and I find a hidden maintenance entrance. Not a hidden matrix. And I go through there, and then I'm in the room. And it's like, there are a lot of games that you'll see E3 demos of, and they'll talk about, you can do this way, you can do that way. Whoa, it's so exciting. But Prey is the realization of that, and it lives up to it. Like, that example I gave of that door is there's a room like that in every level of this game, if not more than one. It's all over the place. You'll unlock a door, and then you'll realize, just by walking around in that room, like, oh, I could have had the key to this. You'll find a key card for it later, right? Or, oh, I could have had this ability, I could have gone in through this hole. I just don't have that ability. Or I don't have that ability, but I got into this way. And it's so cool to see all those layers in this map. This is a game that anyone who wants to like get into game design or do level design in particular needs to play. This is the smartest level design I've seen in a game in like the longest time. It is insane, the amount of detail. You'll be playing this game for hours. You'll be in a place you've been in for a couple hours, and you'll notice a little detail on the wall, and you'll realize that was telling me something. That was telling me I could have gone this way. There was a body I found. Well, I didn't find it. I used the little computer to navigate to find one of the crew members, right? And I was like, I don't know where he is. Oh, he's suspended up here. And I'm like, well, how would I have known? But all the clues were there because there was a blood stain on the floor. And if I paid attention, I would have noticed blood dripping from the ceiling, and I could have looked right up and saw this person. And all the details were there. All these things were always there. That secret hidden passageway, they're there. You just have to look for it. And it's one of those things that's insane. Every single part of this game just begs to be mulled over and just really, with a fine-tooth comb, examined. This is, and I think I mentioned this last week, what Breath of the Wild did for the macro, for seeing that hill and going over there and exploring and really getting that joy of exploration in a vast world. Prey does the opposite, and it takes it into the micro level of every single room, every single file cabinet could be hiding something. There could be something under that. There's something on this computer that unlocks a door, that unlocks this other thing over there, that there's a room if you just looked over there. Like, so many games promise this but never deliver on it. But there were many times in Prey where I looked up and said, like, I think I can go there. I don't know if the game wants me to go there, but I'm going to go there with the glue gun. I'm just going to mess around and get there. And it does it so phenomenally well. And it does it in a way that eclipses anything close to what BioShock did, particularly because BioShock starts out as a slow, you have the wrench, you have a pistol, you get a shotgun. It's a methodical experience. And then it kind of overflows into silliness of, well, now you got this gun, now you got that gun, now you got this ability and that ability, and you're killing all these guys. But Prey never got that way to me. In fact, by the end, I was wishing for more combat, because I do really enjoy the combat, but because it was like, there's so many lulls in this game where you are just alone in this decimated space station fighting for survival. And we'll get to difficulty, I guess, because it's not, I don't think it's a very difficult game, but you are fighting to survive and scrounging around. And that's what's so important about the exploration, is that you need to pick all these things up because you want to craft with them. And it's not a stupid, like, I don't craft a lot in video games because it's like, you need 3 whiskey bottles. This is 2 fingers, not 3. You need a banana peel, a paper clip, and this to craft this thing. And I'm like, man, I don't know where to get paper clips. This is annoying. But what Prey does is it takes everything in the game and allows you to recycle them into 4 components. So it doesn't matter what it is. All that matters is that you were trying to explore the world and find objects. And so you found objects, you've recycled them, and you can make them. And you know what you can make in the game? Anything. Anything in the game, if you have the fabrication plan for it, you can make. And so this choice that I'm talking about, the choice of how to explore and how to get into rooms, goes not only into that, not only into the perks you can pick, which affect that, but they also affect combat, and they also affect crafting and what you want to make. Like I was saying, you can just be Shotgun Man and build a ton of shotgun bullets and just wander around with a shotgun. And it'll work. And it'll be fine. If you want to never learn a Typhon, which are the alien abilities, you don't have to. I didn't. I know what all of them do. I see the enemies use them. I didn't. I stayed full human, and there's a playthrough that go the other way, and to transform into a little cup man and waddle through doors and be able to phase shift through things. The one ability I do get was slowing down time. There are so many different options. Like, there's this enemy that's like a floating blob. And towards the later end of the game, you'll sometimes see this floating blob with 3 turrets around it. And what you can do, because the turrets are going to attack you now, they're being controlled by this blob, right? Is I can throw EMP grenades and disable the turrets, right? And then I can switch to a stun gun stun the flying blob, switch back to the shotgun, slow down time, blow it up with the shotgun. By that time, the turrets are out of their funk and they're facing weird directions. I can hack all of them so they don't shoot me, and I'm fine. But I could have handled that situation, and every single other situation of combat in the game totally differently. I could have set up my own turrets and had them have their own little battle, right? I could have had another ability where you can phase shift and leave a temporary like ghost image that they'll think is you, and do that. I could throw any other grenades, like there's a Typhon grenade, which basically just attracts all the aliens to that spot. And I could set up a trap for them. Oh, there's a fire over here? Let me throw a Typhon grenade over here, and that man's gonna light himself on fire because he's stupid. There are a bunch of different options for that. The entire game is riddled with these choices. And even though I'm not making all of them, just the fact that I can see them and I can look at an encounter and go, well, what works best for here? What should I do? What if I try this? And it all works out. There are moments of like that moment everyone will talk about with Breath of the Wild where, oh, I put a sword down and it carried the electricity and completed the circuit, right? Because it's a metal, like stuff like that happens in this game. I was fighting, I think it was in this next room, not in this gameplay, but it was in this next room where I was fighting a phantom guy. Let's call him Steve. I was fighting Steve, and he's electrified, right? Oh, maybe I can use EMP grenades to disable their electricity. I didn't even think about that. Anyway, he's electrified, and I started fighting him, and I'm like, man, I'm getting zapped. And I looked down, and I realized I'm on a metal grating, and his electricity was electrifying the entire platform I was on. So I had to leave where I was. It does that so much better than BioShock did of having like, I guess there's water here. Like you never have to deal with the elements. It never forces you to deal with the elements, but they're there. There'll be pipes that are flammable that in the heat of a battle, like they just start bursting and now there's fire everywhere and you have to deal with the consequences. It's such a world that is built upon all the systems. It never feels like fake or forced. I mean, you're going into cargo bays and like here's the mess hall and all that stuff. Like it is a space station. It is a 2 scale. I mean, I guess it would have to be 2 scale. They're the one that made it. Of a space station. There's no area left for the imagination. You go to every area of the space station. And I think that is an incredible achievement here. The game, beyond all that, is just a blast to play. I loved all of it. I'm slowing down time and shooting things up with the shotgun, upgrading abilities. That's my one complaint is I really think if you're going to play this slowly and hoard ammo and do all that stuff, you should turn up the difficulty. Because I played through on normal and you end the game, like I was recycling grenades 10 at a time just because I had them. If I wanted to, I could have fabricated like 30, 40 neuromods, which are basically your skill points. Like I could have done it. I could have just given myself a ton of ammo. I tried not to. I tried to conserve everything, right? And so I think a higher difficulty would have been better for me to play on, because I scrounge around so much. But if you're not going to do that, normal will be fine, and you'll find enough bullets, and you can always make them to the fabricator. I should mention I have it listed on here. There are some negatives. I will say the map isn't great. It isn't terrible, but it suffers from a problem of, I want to go back to Psychotronics, but I don't have the map of that area. So if I want to see the map of it, right? But I can't see the map of it unless I go to that area. And it just seems like a weird thing that a lot of games do, where I want to see the map of that area. Why can't you just show me that map? I've been there before. Let me see my map of that area without me having to go to that area. That's a weird thing. I did have some glitched quests, where it's like, go find so-and-so. And I'm like, well, so-and-so isn't anywhere. So-and-so, goodbye. Like, it's just not there. The enemy variety is kind of limited. There's a lot of the mimics. I didn't talk about the mimics, but they're the ones that mimic things in the environment. They provide some jump scares, but they're fun to fight. Some people complain about the wrench combat where it feels like you're wildly swinging. I think that adds to the experience, and I think you do get the hang of it pretty quickly. So I don't really understand that complaint doesn't work for me. Anyway, enemy variety. So those are the mimics. There are greater mimics. There are the Phantoms? I don't know. And then there are, see, I disabled, that's what I did there, was I disabled him with a grenade that disables their abilities. Then I stunned him so he couldn't move. I slowed down time and shot him with a shotgun. Fucking love the layer of all these abilities you can do. Anyway, there's a little Phantas. And there's fire ones, electric ones. There are little wraiths that like shoot weird things at you. There's the giant nightmares, of which I don't think are very intimidating at all. Because I would basically get a surprise attack on them, slow down time, and just pump them full of lead. But I mean, that's the thing I could do. And I also could have set up turrets. I could have done all these things. It's so cool to see all the different ways you can handle this game. And oh my god, the joy of exploring. I don't know, I know I said exploring weird, but the joy of exploring in this is unrivaled to me. It harkens back to BioShock, but what BioShock was, like how you remember BioShock, because going back to it now is not the same. This is how I remember BioShock being, and it does it better. It does it in a 30-hour game. And going back to that pacing thing, I might have dropped the point early. It never becomes a shooter where everything's fighting you. I've heard complaints of people saying there's too much combat in this game, and I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about. There are 20-minute stretches where I see no one, where I am just looking at every single nook and cranny in the room and trying to piece all this together, looting everything, going back and recycling stuff. Like, if you think there's too much combat in this game, you're playing it too quickly. I think you're not looking at everything, you're not finding everything, you're not trying to see the different ways, because seeing the different ways you can do stuff will lead you to new areas, will lead you to more weapons or ammo, or just learning things about the game. In the same way that Breath of the Wild did that, like weird little tricks you can do. And I fucking love this game. I think it's something very, very, very special. It also has the rare compliment for me that the perk skill tree is filled with things that are useful and relevant and aren't just like, oh, 5% to pistols, I don't know. I hate skill trees like that, but this skill tree is phenomenal. Like, it is really just top notch. I love it. Let's go back to the complaints. I think some of the zero-G stuff is just fine. What was the thing? Oh, the last couple hours of the game. So let's say the last 6 hours of the game for me, half of it was side quests that I never did or completed, and I'm going through and trying to do them. And the other half is a late game fetch quest that it really isn't very good. It takes you all over the map in a way that's just kind of annoying, and I ended up running away from a lot of stuff. I was like, I don't need to fight you. It's not interesting for me to fight you at this point, because the enemies you had to fight were these robots that are just annoying. So I'm like, who cares? Let me just leave. So the end of the game kind of withers and shrinks a bit. And that's unfortunate that the last maybe 2 hours of the game is just backtracking and not very compelling. It did win me back. Not at the ending, but the after credits scene, which gave me chills. Literal chills. I love, there are at least two reveals in it, and I loved them. I didn't see either of them coming. I could have guessed one if you'd probed me and asked me a bunch of leading questions. I probably could have guessed. But the implications of everything that went on in the game comes to a head in this ending, and I loved that. I just was floored, because I was playing this game and I was trying to beat it. I'm running around doing these stupid fetch nonsense back and forth to the same areas. I'm like, this is stupid. And then I hit that ending, and it doesn't end on a boss fight. It just ends, has its little ending, has the credits, has that scene, and I was floored. I love this. I love this game. I think Prey is very special. I think Prey is going to get robbed. Is going to get so robbed by Zelda and whatever else comes out the rest of the year. Not Red Dead, because there's no way that's coming out this year. This is my I don't know what could beat this. I do not know what could beat this for my game of the year. I love this, so close to a perfect game to me. So like those complaints I had, so minor. So minor. Did I mention 32 hours to beat it? I don't know. I'm looking at my notes. It's fantastic. It is just fantastic. A one of a kind experience that like now I could go back and be like, this area is smaller. Like when you first get into it, every area is just this giant thing, and you're like looking around with your little pistol. What do I do? What do I do? And you're like searching around the corner. I guess I'll go into this room and see what's here. And you're like, oh, a mimic, and you're whacking on it. And it has that. It has that for like 15 hours, and I fucking loved that. I loved it so much. Prey is very special. Very, very special. This is a game, like I love Bloodborne. And Bloodborne is one of those games that's like a pillar of this generation. And right next to it, we have the next pillar. Well, Witcher 3 can be a pillar too. It's fine. And that pillar is Prey. It's right up there with one of the best games I've ever played. Not only one of the best games of the year, one of my favorite games of all time. If it wasn't so busy this year with games, I'd be right back in on a Nightmare Mode playthrough. Right back in. Just, it's phenomenal. It is a phenomenal, it is a triumph, it is an achievement in so many ways. I will repeat again, anyone who's interested in game design in any facet, any way, needs to play this game and really look at its systems because it's so smartly done. It's incredible. It's an incredible game. And that will be the end of the show. No one's here in the comments to challenge me on Prey being the game of the year, so it already wins. Yay, goodbye. That's one of my rare instances of using the lean. I never used the lean. That's my tip too. Upgrade that shotgun. Upgrade that shotgun's damage, because it can get up there. And you're doing hella damage. Anyway, that's the show. Every Friday, I almost forgot what day of the week it is. Every Friday, 3 p.m. Pacific time, twitch.tv/thegamefanatics. I'll do the show. Next week is going to be Fire Emblem. And shit, what's the name of that game? The one that Sega's putting on PC again. Vanquish. Probably I think that comes out next week. And maybe that Crashing game. There's a lot of games. There are too many games this year. I think we could stop. We could just stop. Like June, we don't need any games after June. We're good. We're good. We got enough. We got all the games we need. Got them all. We got all the games. Well, come on. All right. Merry Christmas. Happy birthday.